Shalom, Israel. This is Yuda Yasharel. I got something really interesting for you guys today. We're going to prove the Revelation, the book of Revelation, is fake, which is further proof that the whole New Testament is all fake. So, I'm going to start out, and I'm hoping that I won't lose my audio because I'm trying something new. I got Google Earth pulled up because I'm going to show you guys something that has been overlooked by most of us. So, the lesson today is titled, Where Did the New Testament Get the Red Dragon From? So let's start with the definition of dragon. It's a noun, a mythical monster like a giant reptile. All right, serpent. In European tradition, the dragon is typically fire-breathing and tends to symbolize chaos and evil. Now, we see a lot of that, right? And who do we see that's creating chaos or evil? Whereas in East Asia, it is usually a beneficent symbol of fertility associated with water and the heavens. Another term is flying lizard. Now, I believe the book of Revelation has recreated the dragon for their own purpose, which is to promote fear in the people. But we're going to find out. I think I have found physical proof that will back up everything that I'm about to share with y'all. But I'm going to ask you guys to go and do your own research. Pull up Google Earth and go to the top of Africa. And you're going to see what I see. But I'm going to show it to you here. All right, so let's go to Ezekiel chapter 29 and verse 3. Speak to him and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, you great monster. He called Pharaoh a great monster. Lying among your streams, you say, the Nile belongs to me. I made it for myself. That was not a good idea. Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 2. Son of man, take up a lament concerning Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him, you are like a lion among the nations. You are like a monster in the seas, thrashing about in your streams. This is going to be very important to remember. You are like a monster in the seas, thrashing about in your streams, churning the water with your feet and muddying the streams. This is what the Most High told Pharaoh that he would do. Now, Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 4 and 6, or 4 through 6. I will throw you on the land and hurl you on the open field. I will let all the birds of the sky settle on you, and all the animals of the wild gorge themselves on you. I will spread your flesh on the mountains and fill the valleys with your remains. I will drench the land with your flowing blood all the way to the mountains, and the ravines will be filled with your flesh. Now, let me show y'all something. You see this? This is Google Earth. This, if you can see this, this is the behemoth. It is a giant fish. This is the tail. This is the tail. This is the body. I'm assuming that this is an eye here or maybe an eye here. I don't know for sure, but this is the fin. Now, right above it is a dragon. I mean, this is clear as day. Now, I want y'all to keep something in mind. This area that I'm showing you right now was once covered in water. It was a sea. It's going to be very significant in a few minutes. But this is a head of a dragon, and he's spewing something out of his mouth onto the fish, the behemoth. This is the behemoth. This is the leviathan. Let me show you how huge this leviathan is. This is the two heads. This is a two-headed dragon, as they would call it. This is a head here, and this is a head here. Here's an eye right here, and here's an eye right here. See this eye? This is his snout. This is his nose, his mouth. This is his eye. This is his snout and his nose. You can see how the opening of his mouth, like lips, coming right through here. This is the two heads of the one dragon. Look how he was cut right here. The Most High approached him with his sword. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. And then on further down, he was cut again. His tail was cut off. But this thing stretched from one end of this continent, this is Morocco, all the way to almost the Mediterranean Sea. That's huge, all right? So I just want y'all to see, there's an eye right here, and here's an eye on this one. These are two heads. Now, let's go prove that. I want to show you this part. Now, let me show you this now, where he says, I will drench the land with your flowing blood all the way to the mountains. Let's go look at that. You see all this stuff running off here? See all this? Look at that. That's fluid draining off a decaying body. What did the Most High say? I will drench the land with your flowing blood all the way to the mountains. How far did it go? Look, all of this is body fluids, even through here. Now the tail won't have as much fluid in it as the body. We know that. But I'm showing you the drain off from that body of the leviathan. All of this is genetic material, bodily fluids, blood, whatever fluids was in his body, it's draining off. So we know now this prophecy, this was true. Isaiah 27:1, in that day the Lord will punish with his sword, his fierce, great, and powerful sword, Leviathan, the gliding serpent, Leviathan, the coiling serpent. He will slay the monster of the sea. Now, y'all look, all of this at one time was covered with water. And you can look through here and you can see where the water drained off into the ocean. See that flowing? You see the lines? See this flowing look down through here? It's just drained right over here into the ocean. Job 41:21, its breath sets coals ablaze, and flames dart from its mouth. Psalm 18:8, smoke rose from its nostrils, Consuming fire came from its mouth. Burning coals blazed out of it. Psalms 74, verse 13 to 15. It was you who split open the sea by your power. It was you. You broke the heads, that's plural, of the monster in its waters. Now, what did we see a while ago here? These two heads. There's the eye on one head. There's the nose, the mouth. Here's the eye on the other one. There's the snout and the mouth. Two heads. This is why he says, broke the heads of leviathan and gave it as food to the creatures of the desert. It was you who opened up the springs and streams. You dried up the ever-flowing rivers. This was all underwater. The Most High broke it up and drained it off, opened up, and it all flowed right through here. Right through here. It was you who opened up springs and streams. You dried up the ever-flowing rivers. Job 40, verse 15 through 20. Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you. I made you and Behemoth at the same time, and which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. Its tail sways like a cedar. The sinews of its thigh are close knit. Its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like rods of iron. It ranks first among the works of God, yet its maker can approach it with its sword. That's the Most High telling you, I am the maker, I am the only one that can approach with this sword. He's been cut right through here, both heads cut off. The tail cut off. All right? Again, truth is proven. The hills bring it their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. What is that saying? When you have a decaying body, it produces a lot of different minerals. And you see all through here the greenery. This is shrubbery and grass and whatnot. And what did it say? The hills bring it their produce. Produce is vegetation. All of this vegetation is growing because of the blood, iron-rich soil. So, why did I do this lesson? Because I wanted you to see with physical proof that the New Testament is not only fake, but the book of Revelation is even more fake, because they took this scene of the serpent completely out of the original context. And then they created their own dragon, and they call it the red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns. Well, nothing like that is mentioned the way they portray it. Even in the book of Daniel, it is mentioned about Daniel. Nebuchadnezzar is questioning Daniel, why don't you worship Baal? Baal, I can't remember what he called it, but it's referring to the dragon. That was their god. And Daniel told him, because I don't worship gods made by hand, or even from the vain imaginations of man. I worship a living God. So the king decided to challenged Daniel. So he told his men that set up food and drink for our gods. Let us see if our gods will eat or drink. If they eat and drink, then I will kill Daniel. All right? So Daniel says, so let your words be so. But Daniel wasn't a nut. He wasn't stupid. So the king shut the doors to the chambers where gods were kept. But what the king didn't know is that his own men had set up a little secret compartment where they could come in and out at night when everybody was asleep. Well, Daniel knew this. So Daniel says, spread ashes all across the floor and let us see who's eating and drinking. So it came the next morning, they entered into this chamber. And I believe Daniel stopped the king and told him, look across the floor. There's footprints everywhere. So, yeah, the food and drink is gone. But who was here? We locked the door. And you sealed it with your signet ring. And it hasn't been broken. That signet ring seal has not been broken. So now the king is furious. But I'm just giving you a little insight on this is the only time that I'm aware of that this Bel dragon is mentioned, mainly in the book of Daniel. But I hope that you can see. Now y'all go and pull up Google Earth and go really study what I just showed you. I don't know if this is letting y'all see the image of my Google Earth here. I hope it is, but if it's not, pull up Google Earth and go to the top left part of the continent of Africa and pull it up close, and you can see the head of the dragon. Look at this spike in this dragon's neck. Look at this. This is that dragon's body. Stretches all the way to the Mediterranean. This thing was huge, and it had two heads. And this is the behemoth. This fish right here is preserved to feed Israel when we enter into the kingdom. But you see this stuff coming out of the dragon's mouth right here? Whatever this stuff is, he spewed it out to kill the fish, the behemoth. The minute he did that, the Most High destroyed him. So this was caught in time. But remember, all of this was underwater. And the Most High said that he opened the springs and drained the rivers. And you can see that. Yeah. It's about almost 1,000 miles. It's almost 1,000 miles from here, where this dragon's head is, to here. So that meant this dragon was approximately 1,000 miles or anywhere between 800 and 1,000 miles long. That's big. With that being said, Israel, I hope that I shedded some light on this fake book. All praises to the Most High.